tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey guys, welcome into another, special episode of The Good Wife right here on AfterBuzz TV, streaming live on AfterBuzzTV.com. It is Tuesday, October 20th. We're 2 days late with this episode. We are talking Season 7, Episode 3. Title is Cooked, of course. I'm Bobby DeMuro. I'm your only host today, so we're going to have a little one-camera shot action. Do a little talk radio style, just me, but that's okay. We'll make it quick and dirty. Just want to apologize real quick for you guys. We're supposed to go Sunday like normal, like we always do on Sundays. I was off Sunday. I was at Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios. I was doing like all the scary rides and mazes and whatever, stuff like that. And didn't realize we didn't do an episode. There was NFL stuff, recording. So it happens. We had a little recording malfunction, but we're doing it now. We're talking it now. And then we'll be back like normal on Sunday, October 25th. So 8 p.m. Pacific, just like normal on Sunday the 25th. Shouldn't happen again. And I will be back that week. I know Allison and Tara will. They will too. We missed them on Sunday. But we were talking Good Wife Cooked today. Probably the tightest episode. I know there's only been 3 so far this season, but the tightest episode of the season, maybe the most important so far this season, for a lot of reasons we'll go into. The season's starting to come together in a lot of ways. And basically, since it's just me, instead of recapping the whole show for you guys, I wanted to just hit a couple major plot points, a couple big thoughts that I had, open it up to you if we want to have a discussion in the comments, discussion on Twitter, wherever that may be. I am literally on Twitter right now. I just got a tweet. I have to check it. I'm on Twitter right now. I'm also on my phone. So if you want to tweet me at Bobby DeMuro, you can also tweet us at AfterBuzz TV. I get all that right here. So send me your tweets right now if you want to talk Good Wife. Or you can always comment on YouTube. You can always tweet me all week. We can do that. Let's jump in. We learn about Roland Lavin with an H before it. Lavin, silent H, making GHB, or I guess I should say synthetic, not really GHB. That is Alicia's bar attorney case this time around. And it's an interesting one for a lot of reasons. Would have been a very interesting case even without the FBI twist. But we had a twist. We had the FBI twist, and we learned that Lavin is an FBI agent thanks to Grace's good detective work. Side note on Grace. Grace finds out Lavin is not who he says he is, in part because of facial recognition software. That software, Grace mentions that Zach helped her with it. Of course, her brother Zach. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's the first mention of Zach in Season 7. Again, only 3 episodes, not too significant, but Zach does get mentioned. It was Today by Grace. Sunday by Grace. The key here is the FBI and Judge Schakowsky, who, of course, if any of you have seen Happy Gilmore, Christopher McDonald is the actor's name. He plays Shooter McGavin in Happy Gilmore. It's tough to watch Happy Gilmore and not think Shooter McGavin when you see Christopher McDonald, but I really like this character. I like Christopher McDonald's interpretation of the judge. He is equal parts judicious, magnanimous, and testy, and very concerned, and we've seen this a couple episodes before, very concerned with time and churning out cases and the grind. He's got a temper. He's not the nicest guy, but he's also surprisingly fair. And we see that today. We see that with Alicia's client. We see that with Luca's client a little bit, and with the assistant district attorney or the assistant state's attorney who cuts them an exploding deal that obviously explodes. Neither party ended up taking the deal. The key here, though, is the FBI, and the FBI is investigating Judge Schakowsky. And Eli, as we know, spoiler alert if you didn't see it already, Eli gets to Judge Schakowsky, tips him off, that the FBI is investigating. Schakowsky doesn't take a bribe. The FBI loses 2 years of work, yada, yada, yada. Schakowsky is still in play on this show. I hope he sticks around. I know that he will stick around. I hope his bar attorney story sticks around, because I like that story. I like Alicia doing that. I like her going back. I almost said going back to her roots. It's not really her roots, but I like her going back to the start. Tara and I, on episode 1 of our after show a couple weeks ago, Tara and I talked about this exact idea of Alicia going back to the start. And you saw it in season 1. You saw it another couple times throughout the show so far. And the start of season 7 is another start for Alicia. I like her going back there. I like Judge Schakowsky's character for this. I think it's a good character who's equal parts abrasive, but then surprisingly, tender's not quite the right word, but you know what I'm saying? There's a good balance for Judge Schakowsky. And we're obviously going to see more of him because he owes Eli. And Eli asked about Frank Landau. And Eli gets usually what Eli wants. I won't say always because we saw Eli's office today on a separate storyline. But Eli typically gets what Eli wants. And so Schakowsky is now in Eli's back pocket. Make all the jokes you want about corruption, good old-fashioned Chicago political corruption. I think that's, part of the fun that they're having here. But it's also just good old-fashioned corruption in general, and the fact that Alicia and Peter, knowingly and unknowingly, whether it's Ruth or Eli or whatever, are getting their hands dirty. And they've always gotten their hands dirty, and they're just getting a little dirtier. And it's a bad time for that to happen for Peter. But that won't come back and bite him, I don't think, for another couple weeks. But it's worth thinking about with Judge Schakowsky. And then the perjury issue, which I don't know what to make of long-term. I guess it's only maybe a short-term story since Alicia is no longer employed by Lavin, by Roland Lavin. But the perjury issue, I think, speaks to not that Alicia is fast and loose with her morals, but she was a little overzealous with a client and a little overzealous in a situation where she might have been a little desperate, whether financially or otherwise. And it wasn't a smart thing to do, and she didn't get burned for it. And I think it'll come back to haunt her. Let me put it that way. Maybe not in this storyline, because we probably won't see Lavin again. And maybe not in the Schakowsky storyline. Maybe we won't see an FBI informant for a while. But I think her overzealousness will come back to haunt her. And I think that tinge of desperation that she has, which is good, she's a motivated bar attorney, that tinge of desperation she might push the book a little too far. I just saw another tweet pop up about Jeffrey Dean Morgan, about our investigator. I'm going to answer it in a minute, but I'm glad that I'm getting these tweets now. If you guys haven't already, we are live streaming here on Tuesday night, so it's good to see some folks are watching the live stream. At Bobby DeMuro, like I said, I'm on my phone. I'm on Twitter on the laptop here. So if you have any tweets about Good Wife, you have questions, send them in. You have comments, send them in. It's just me tonight, so you can have your say. Yeah, and I'd love to hear more about Roland from you guys. Again, who knows where this story goes? I think the staying power of this story is Schakowsky. And Eli, the favor that Schakowsky owes Eli, the favor and how it may come back to haunt Alicia and probably Peter. Let's be real, these things always do. What's done in the dark will always come to light, or so they tell me. And we'll see. Second storyline here, Howard and Alicia, Howard Lyman. So Howard Lyman is an interesting one. Well, actually, this is a good time to take this question before we do Howard, because Howard, we get to see Alicia's law firm, Alicia representing. She never actually represents Howard, but that's kind of the thing. Question from Myrna Newsy on Twitter asks, do we know if Jeffrey Dean Morgan will be back? Jeffrey Dean Morgan plays the investigator. He plays our new investigator who Tara Johnson is in love with. He's an attractive dude. I'll give you guys that. And a fun actor and a cool character. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is a series regular on season 7, so we will see him come back. We're going to see a lot of investigation. I'll just say that, and you guys can take that for what you will, whether it's lawyerly investigation or romantically. But we will see the investigator a lot. He's a series regular. I'm just worried about scheduling conflicts with The Good Wife. We've seen this before. We've seen characters disappear for a few episodes because of scheduling conflicts with other shows and whatever. I feel like we saw it with Finn Polmar a lot last season, or maybe it was 2 seasons ago. I might be confusing them. But when he was doing Downton Abbey and all that kind of stuff before he left, he would leave for a couple episodes on scheduling conflicts, and I'm sad that we lose a guy like Morgan for a week. Hopefully it's not more than a week. Grace did all the investigation this week, but the question, do we know if he'll be back? If Jeffrey Dean Morgan will be back? Yes, he will, absolutely, he's a series regular. So we're going to see a lot of him this season. I just wish it had been, this week. But we will see him very soon. If not next week, very soon. So Howard and Alicia. So that's a good transition because Alicia's law firm is not representing Howard, but she is giving him off the clock legal advice. And I don't know how to think about Howard. Howard is at once a buffoon and a very shrewd and downright scary dude. And I can't figure out if it's one of two things for me. He's either a buffoon, excuse me, he's either a buffoon who is lashing out at people when he feels cornered, and that's dangerous. Like the lashing out is danger, and he's lashing out of anger and fear and whatever. Or, and this may be more scary, he's a cold, calculating badass, and we see this in this episode with his date. He's a cold, calculating badass who plays the buffoon. And if he's playing the buffoon and playing the napper and the old partner who doesn't do anything and the one who we want to, pull out of the firm or whatever that Carrie's trying to pull out, Howard's playing the game. And just because he's old and just because he's the buffoon on face value, I don't think that's really him. And I think we're starting to see more and more of him in this shrewd mindset. And it's not lashing out. It's very calculated. He's extremely calculated. He knows about ageism and age discrimination. He's been practicing law for 50 years, 60 years, whatever he said. I know he said it last week, and I don't remember the number. He's been practicing law for too long not to know how to file an age discrimination complaint. He's not going to Alicia for advice. He's going to Alicia to screw Alicia with Diane and to screw Diane with Alicia and poison the water there. And that's, pretty obvious. But this guy, Howard, the one thing I will say, I like this character turn for him. I love this arc. I love the shrewdness. I love the, calculated aspect of him. One thing I will say, one of the things that makes The Good Wife so good, no pun intended, or maybe, is they can punctuate dramatic, serious, scary, technical, legal moments, whatever it is. They can punctuate all this stuff with humor. And when you have humor, you space out all the drama the right way. There's a show out right now. I will leave it unnamed. It is brand new. No sense in blowing it up. I will leave the show unnamed, but it is packed to the gills with action. Just storyline. And you watch it for, 40 minutes, and you're physically exhausted because it just keeps coming. The Good Wife is so strong because it doesn't do that. It has pacing. It has the serious storyline, GHB, whatever it is. And then it has Eli's tiny office and people physically struggling to get into Eli's tiny office. You could watch that for an hour and laugh about that. You don't have to just watch GHB and the court drama and Howard and whatever. The reason I bring this up is the Howard that we had the last few seasons was fun Howard. It was light Howard. It was joking Howard. It was napping Howard. And so every time we've seen him, we've been conditioned to love him because he's a funny dude. He's a light dude. And when we see Howard in a scene, it's like, okay, this scene's like, not that it's not important, but we can laugh at this scene, we can take this scene off, and the next scene's going to be serious, and the pacing and the balance is phenomenal. The more that Howard becomes calculated the way that he is and the way that he's going, the more that we lose physically funny Howard. The more that we lose take a scene off Howard. And I don't mean, don't watch take a scene off, but I mean one of these scenes where we need a little levity. We lose that because Howard is now a shrewd dude. And I like the shrewd dude character. And I love that choice that they make. And Howard Lyman plays it to a T, man. He's scary. But I wish that we had a little more spacing. So I'm hoping that whether it's a Jeffrey Dean Morgan or somebody, he seemed a little, not funny, but he seemed a little quirky and sexy the first time we saw him. Whether it's him or somebody else, we need that pacing in the show, especially if Howard is going to get serious. A couple notes on Howard. Sorry, I get a little long-winded with that. And I may be wrong, and if I'm wrong, comment. I would love to hear from you guys, whether it's on Twitter again or if it's on YouTube. I'd love to know what you guys think about Howard. A couple more notes on him. Jackie Florrick and Howard Lyman, boy, that is, that's a match made in hell. I will say this about Jackie Florrick, the woman who plays Jackie Florrick. You probably recognize her regardless of the generation you're in. If you're a little bit older, you might recognize her from her opera background, Mary Beth Peil. If you are younger, if you're about 29 like I am, you might recognize her as Grams on Dawson's Creek. And every time Jackie Florrick comes on the screen, I think Dawson's Creek. And I'm not sure that's a good thing, and I'm not sure that I should be publicly admitting that, but here I am. It's on the internet forever. Nothing we can do about it now. I did like a couple things there. I did like how they keep making allusions to Mary Beth Peil's opera career. Howard asking her if she was a singer. You're somebody I used to know. She has an opera background, so that's kind of the in-joke for them. The other thing, Howard did end up getting $33 million in union money for the firm. So not only is he not on the way out, Howard's firmly entrenched on the inside. And yeah. Couple quick firm notes because they relate to Howard. Diane and Alicia, they're friends, then they're not friends again. That'll keep going back and forth. I just got a great question to come across Twitter. Let me finish this thought and then I'm going to talk about this. But Diane and Alicia, we'll see what goes on with it. We'll see if Diane now goes and gets revenge on Alicia because she believes Alicia is helping Howard, however true that may be. That's a storyline to follow. I think they just set it up this week. That's going to be a very interesting one to follow moving forward. And then, of course, Diane with that associate who wants to spend more time with her boyfriend. I will defer to y'all, whatever generation, not that this is just a generational thing, but whatever generation you happen to be, if you're a little older or a little younger, and how you feel about work-life balance. I think I can probably generally guess, but I would love to hear all of your specific perspectives and points of view on this associate who wants to spend more time with her boyfriend and strike a work-life balance. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Let's go to Twitter one more time. Mario Bovaboy, at Mario Bovaboy, Mario DeMaio. That's a great last name, by the way. DeMuro, I kind of like it. He asks, do you think Carrie will get a solid storyline or love interest? He is overdue. You, my friend, are preaching to the choir. I think the Howard Lyman thing is going to become a pretty solid storyline for Carrie because the Howard Lyman thing is going to force somebody out. It's either going to force Howard out and there's going to be like a nasty breakup, and I doubt that because Howard's been around forever, or it's going to force Carrie out, or it's going to force Carrie and Diane out. Maybe that'd be rash. But I think we're going to see something coming with Carrie. The generational difference idea has been planted with Carrie and the associates versus Diane and the partners. And even though Carrie's a partner, he's the youngest partner, or the youngest one that we deal with consistently. And Carrie's kind of on the outside looking in on stuff. And I think as shrewd as Howard is becoming on this show very quickly, I think Howard is going to further push Carrie out of the circle. And with that, I think Carrie's storyline becomes leaving the firm. And the obvious one is hooking back up with Alicia and starting a firm with Alicia. And maybe that's too simple. Maybe there's something else going. Maybe they do start a firm again. Maybe that's too repetitive. I don't know. But I think that's where Carrie's headed. As for a love interest, that's a really good question. You know, I'm racking my brain for female characters who would be suitable for Carrie. Luca, baby. She's really the only one I can think of. It's not obviously going to be Alicia. That'd be really bizarre. Yeah, I can't think of a love interest right now. And Luca, I guess you could make a case for Luca because she's there. She exists. But I don't think it's necessarily... It's convenient, and at this point they haven't written it to where it would be smart. It's just there. If he has a love interest, and he probably will, I mean, you're probably right, he is long overdue. If he has a love interest, it's probably going to come from somebody we have yet to see. And maybe it's a character that gets introduced in the next couple weeks. Maybe it's an associate. Maybe we see an associate at their firm, and that pushes Carrie out too. I don't know. I mean, that's speculation. But I think it's somebody that we haven't seen yet, because none of the folks that we've seen that I can think of makes sense to me. And if I'm wrong about that, if I'm forgetting somebody, let me know. But I can't really think of anybody good that we've seen who is also available that would make a good fit. I mean, it's not going to be Ruth, obviously. It's not going to be Eli's assistant the woman, the young woman, I forget her name now. There's no reason to make it her. I'm trying to think of all our female characters. Yeah, I don't see one yet. So it'd have to be one that comes soon. Yeah, that's a good question about a love interest, especially with Kalinda gone, obviously. I'll hold off on the love interest. As for a storyline for him, and I don't mean to ramble, I think this Howard thing turns into his storyline. And if I'm making a prediction, and this is maybe a little too far out there, I think he leaves the firm. I think he goes back to Alicia. I think Carrie and Alicia make a great team. Like, I think they really make a great team together. I like them working together. Alicia is an old soul very much, but she's also kind of a young soul in the fact that, you know, she constantly gets parented by her daughter. That's the running joke in the show, that Grace is parenting Alicia. Alicia's kind of young in that regard. Alicia ideally wants to have a work-life balance. She doesn't, but she wants one. She's interested in things outside of work, or she purports to be, and she tries to relax, and it doesn't always work. And I think that she would do pretty well with Carrie. I think they match up pretty well, and we've seen them match up well together. So I think that's probably Carrie's storyline long term. That's a good question. And Carrie's too good of an actor to just leave hanging out. Matt Chukri, I'm butchering his last name, is too good. The character is too good. The Good Wife has too many good character actors to just leave these folks hanging out to dry. Even Diane, to be honest. We've seen Diane in every episode. We haven't seen a ton of her. We don't have a Reese Dipple thing yet. We don't have that conservative donor thing that we had last year. Like, Diane Lockhart is such a damn good character, and Christine Baranski is such a damn good character actor. You want to see these people do what they do, and you want to see these people, and it's tough that there's only 44 minutes in a show because, you know, Ruth is a phenomenal character. Eli is second to none. You just run out of time, but I think Carrie's storyline's coming. I think it comes through Howard, and we're starting to see it snowball now, and I think Carrie's going to be the odd man out. He's going to lose that battle. Howard's been around too long. That was a good question. Okay, last thing, very, very briefly. Oh, I just got another tweet. We can check it. So there we go. People are agreeing with me. If you want to tweet me and agree with me, you can absolutely do that. I will agree with you all day long. Just another tweet saying, I totally think Alicia and Carrie will work together too. They've worked together before. They're a great team together. I think they're a great team. It would be easy to move Carrie over there. He's a good character. The prison thing, his prison story is gone now. He's scot-free, essentially. Like, let's get Carrie back in the swing of things, and let's get him every day. He's a smart guy, and I think him and Alicia make a good team. Somebody Alicia doesn't make a good team with is her mother. Every single time that Veronica comes on the show, I almost call her Valerie, that Veronica comes on the show, it's a disaster and one of those fun, you know it's going to happen disasters. And today the disaster is Mama's Homespun Cooking Show. So I have a funny story for you guys, if you'll indulge me for a minute. Maybe it's not a funny story, just a weird thing about me. So my work schedule allows me, very generally speaking, to be off on like Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays in the middle of the week, work through the weekends, which sometimes sucks, but I actually kind of like it. I work for a fairly well-known entertainment website, so it's different, it's new. But the reason I mention that is when you're off on like a Wednesday, you get to see a lot of daytime television like Rachel Ray and Dr. Oz and all these daytime shows. And anytime you can put a daytime show, especially an awkward one, on primetime TV and make fun of it, I'm totally game, because you see that these interviews are always awkward and they're forced, and whether it's a politician or a celebrity, they're stupid. And Alicia's interview with Veronica was stupid, and it was contentious, and it was testy, and the poor host is literally and figuratively caught in the middle between them trying to talk about lasagna, and Veronica's not having it, and Alicia ain't having it, and Eli knows that nobody's having it, and that's why Eli set it up to make Ruth realize that Ruth doesn't know the damn Florricks, and the whole thing was just Good Wife, political, honest-to-goodness fun. Yeah, I loved it. Obviously, long term, I think we know what we're going to get out of Veronica. I think long term, we know what we're going to get out of Alicia with the campaign. She's not going to go kicking and screaming, but she's also not going to go willingly, like, down for whatever. She's going to be composed and measured in what she does with the campaign. I don't know. I guess I just admitted to watching daytime TV In addition to admitting to watching Dawson's Creek, so it's a pretty embarrassing episode for me. Oh, another tweet from Mario. He followed up on the Carrie thing. Thank you. It says, thanks. Carrie should meet someone new that can create his own story. Not he'd go to work with Alicia, but yes, a good team. Interesting. I would, if he can create his own. Here's my only problem with Carrie creating his own story. And forgive me for jumping back and forth and answering Twitter questions, but I do love them. My only concern with him creating his own story, whether it's love interest, which it could be, or a professional story, is you run out of time for all the storylines. And I know that's a simple analogy, you get 44 minutes, but I'm worried. I want to see Peter's campaign like full bore. I want to see Eli and Ruth go at it. Like I want to see Diane and Alicia go at it. Let's be real. I want to see them play politics with each other. I want to see what Howard Lyman's got up his sleeve. We got Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I want to see this damn investigator investigate. And then bar attorney cases, specific cases that come through. There's so much going on. And I'm like, if we're going to have time for Carrie, he's got to be in someone's storyline. He's got to be in Alicia's storyline. If he gets his own, I'm down for it. Like, I agree with you. I'm down for it. I just don't know where the hell we'd fit it in. But, that's why they write the television show, and I just react to it. Let's, no news and gossip this week since we're a couple days late. Let's do a couple predictions, though.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I really just called for predictions. I wanted about 20 seconds to rest my voice. I don't have any. No, I'm just kidding. I've got a couple predictions. Bad joke. Felt totally flat on an open mic where I'm the only one in the room. It's getting lonely in here. For predictions, I guess to start, let's do the one from Mario DeMuro at Mario Bova Boy on Twitter. Yeah, I'm going to stick with my prediction, and I think he's in the same realm that Carrie's going to get a storyline very soon. I think it's the Howard storyline. I think it keeps developing. Maybe we spin it off. Maybe Carrie does his own thing. I think that'd be really interesting. I'd be down for it. I just don't know where the hell they'd fit it in. And then the other one is Howard. Howard is bad. Like, Howard's a bad dude, and I don't know if I've eloquently stated this. I probably haven't. I've probably been rambling a little too long. Howard is a calculating, conniving, experienced, shrewd dude. Howard has seen everything in 300 years of practicing the law. Howard has done everything in 300 years of practicing the law. Howard has insinuated one episode before this that he's murdered someone. So I don't know whether to take him at face value for that, but I'm not screwing with this dude. And Carrie, for all of his strengths, one of his weaknesses is that he doesn't know when to stop fighting. And we've seen that in court. We saw that with his drug stuff. He could have rolled over a couple times, didn't do it. I know he was concerned about his safety and all that kind of stuff, but the dude is a fighter, and he's a fighter to a fault. And I think we're going to see that fault with Howard. Carrie should have called the dogs off with Howard. Very quickly, Howard's becoming an unmanageable situation. I think it's going to bring down Florrick. I think it's going to bring down Lockhart, Agos, and Lee. There is no Florrick. And I think it's because Carrie and Howard are going to engage in a grudge match. Young and old, new and not new, fresh and stale. I don't mean to put it like that. It's not a bad thing Howard's old, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be a dichotomy. It's going to be a grudge match. I'm sure there are tons of other predictions. We're going to see what happens with Judge Schakowsky. We're going to see what happens with Alicia and Luca, who are kind of becoming frenemies in a way. But I'm really interested in this Howard Lyman thing because I think the dominoes start to fall when Howard and Carrie truly go at it in that firm. Because Lockhart, Agos, Lee, they're in a holding pattern. They're doing what they do. Alicia's over here. Everything's happening in separate things. And when that Venn diagram comes together, when Carrie comes over or whatever it is, that's when you're going to get real stuff, real things. And I think that's going to come with a Howard Carrie epic meltdown of the century. Yeah, I'm going with that. That's it this week on The Good Wife on our abbreviated Tuesday after show. Again, I apologize, guys, for the delay. Will not happen again. I hope we have this recording taken care of on Sundays. I'm sorry I wasn't here Sunday anyways, or I would have taken care of it myself. But I will be back this Sunday. Tara and Allison will be here this Sunday, so you will not have to hear me for 40 minutes, thank God. And that's it. Thank you guys for tweeting me. Got a ton of good tweets today. I really appreciate that. You can tweet me at Bobby DeMuro, just my name. You can tweet me all week. I'd love to talk about The Good Wife or the other stuff I'm interested in baseball and all this stuff, or the stuff that you're interested in. If you're into another show, man, tell me about it. If I haven't seen it, I will probably be open to it. So tweet me at Bobby DeMuro, tweet us at AfterBuzz TV, hit subscribe on YouTube and iTunes. You can comment, review, rate, do all that good stuff. And we will see you in 5 days at our usual time, Sunday, 8 p.m. Pacific, for The Good Wife Season 7, Episode 4 after show 5 days from now. Good night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.